If you enjoy what you're hearing and find it valuable, like, comment, and share. Welcome to Ultra Life Today. We are having an energizing conversation with a friend to Ultra Botanica for many years. I'm Josh Bellew. I'm hanging out with Adam Payne, and our guest is Keith Bishop. He's a retired pharmacist, a clinical nutritionist, and has actually spent decades coaching people. And his two areas that are his sweet spot are brain health, cognitive decline, dementia, Alzheimer's, and then also dealing with people that have active cancers, and he guides them through that journey. And he's helped so many people. And Keith, as always, we love it when you show up on the set. It's great.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy doing this and sharing information.
Yeah, no, you're helping so many people. We love it. So we touched on it earlier, but I think it's good to just circle the wagons again a little bit. Mental health, anxiety disorders, depression. Can you replay a little bit this relationship between those things and cognitive decline? And Adam brought up something in our last segment that is also critical as it relates to these very same things, and that is the health of the oral microbiome. What's going on in our mouth?
Right.
What kind of bacteria is there, and is it actually good for us, or is it actually causing cognitive decline? Let's talk about these things,
So
Keith.
just the whole brain issue, so anxiety and depression and attention deficit and memory issues, the kind of the basic things that we have to make sure we're getting circulation to the brain. We have to eat right, have to get enough protein, get our vitamins and minerals, and good fats in, not the bad fats.
Right.
Be careful about blood glucose. And some of those bad fats, can create some inflammation issues. So that's the purpose of some of these supplements. They decrease the inflammation, the curcumins and the fish oils, decrease inflammations in the body and the brain. And then we have this oral thing going on. And so oral, but we'll say the whole gut. And so just everything all the way from one opening to the next. The bacteria in the gut make brain chemicals.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And so, matter of fact, now there are supplement companies that have a particular bacteria capsule that you can take to try to increase a particular neurotransmitter, or to help out with various all these issues that we're talking about.
You don't need to be secret. Which one, what is it?
Well, there's one that's neuroscience. It's neurobiota is what they call it, but there's many of them out there. But
Litkey's 5-HTP. I've seen that change people's lives.
Yeah. So there's supplements that are precursors to neurotransmitters, but then also the gut bacteria makes these transmitters too. And so naturally, as part of that process. And then part of the inflammation process, but things that can happen, infections increase the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. And so everything from a cold sore, a herpes virus literally goes up the nerve into the brain. That increases the risk of Alzheimer's. And so therefore, there is one supplement that we have to be very careful about. I mentioned how nitric oxide is very important. One way to boost the nitric oxide up is with arginine.
Mm-hmm. Right. However,
and citrulline, right?
And citrulline, right. However, that arginine is a fuel for virus.
It is.
Okay. And so therefore, that is not the chosen way to increase nitric oxide in the body.
Right.
And so citrulline is another amino acid, and it actually it's in foods and supplements, and it helps it works in a kind of almost, I'll call it a back doorway, kind of unknown, what most people don't know about it, but it increases nitric oxide in a different way.
Okay.
And so
but if as effective.
Yeah, it is. It
can result in the benefit of higher nitric oxide production.
Definitely, yes.
Without feeling the
virus issue, the herpes virus issue.
Yep.
And so the cold sore virus, and so that is a risk factor. But even now, we're learning that the bacteria in the mouth, is part of that issue. So, matter of fact, I don't know if you all have had Debbie Osmond on?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
the forgotten orifice, the TED Talk that kind of went viral.
She is, she has
She's
a lot of
force
information
to be reckoned with.
Yeah, she is. And so, therefore, that oral microbiome, micro means small, biome life, the bacteria in the mouth is extremely critical. And if we have the bad bacteria in the mouth that's sitting in these pockets in the gums, between the teeth and the gums, that makes inflammation chemicals that increase the risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, and cancer.
Yeah.
Like significantly. And so it's amazing. Matter of fact, even just a whole gut issue. So that stuff is just draining down, into here, increases risk of all these gut cancers even.
Yeah, there's a recent paper published in Cell, Keith. It was an Israeli group that studied 17,000 different tumors across the world, and they found fungal and bacterial biomes in every single tumor, showing, this paper expanded my understanding of cancer tremendously. And not only that, but they were able to organize the cancers by which kinds of funguses were colonizing them. And further, they were able to, it was prognostic, which is it could tell by the kind of fungus and bacteria that was in the cancer was prophetic of how bad that cancer was going to be in that person. So it's not just a casual effect of the fungus and the bacteria in the cancer. There is a communication that's happening with the fungus and the cell, the cancer cell, the bacteria, the fungus and the cancer cell. They're all communicating with each other, which is contributing to the emergence of cancer in the human body. So to ignore the oral health and taking care of our oral cavity is to ignore one of the most profound contributors of bacterial issues in the body, fungal issues in the body. Most of them stem from our bad nasal passages, but really come from poor oral health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you can, find a functional dentist, a biological dentist, one that can actually perform the test to determine the type of bacteria you have in your mouth, the right cleanings that they can do. Again, if you've got bleeding gums, you're getting infections in the mouth regularly, like at least once a year you get one of those.
Bleeding sore gums is something that
it's very indicative.
Needs to be not ignored, but taken care of as if you have a life and death disease.
Definitely.
It is can have a profound impact on your overall health and longevity.
So Keith, everybody's not going to go ketogenic. We know that. Processed foods are we know a problem. If we could just avoid those, I think we would see a major shift in the health in the United States. But are there certain major triggers, such as food additives, that really are known to contribute to cognitive decline? And I want to also say, are there also medications? Now, I'm not talking about somebody that's addicted to a certain type of drug or medication. I'm talking about just you as a pharmacist. Are there actual pharmaceutical drugs that actually can trigger cognitive decline?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
That's a heavy question.
Definitely. We're asking the right guy here.
So definitely medications can be a problem. And even some that are should be helping out with depression and such like that, may have the opposite. We have to be careful about that. But it comes back to actually absorption of nutrients. I keep talking about vitamins and minerals and protein, and fish oils. But if we shut down the stomach acid by taking a proton pump inhibitor,
right?
Okay, that's a no-no on Keith's list, right?
It is, isn't it?
Yep.
That increases your risk of so many health issues, including dementia and cancer, and bone loss. All these things that we're concerned about, and our body is going to break down and have accelerated aging.
Yeah, just destroys the mineral balance, doesn't it?
By taking those items. And so that stomach acid is required to absorb the minerals, and to dissolve the food so we can absorb the proteins. So that is a significant risk factor, and it's being recognized now And matter of fact, the package insert on the non-prescription PPI say, I think it's like 2 weeks is all you're supposed to use it.
Wow.
You're not supposed to use it for 20 years.
Yeah, I know people that have used those for decades.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's incredible.
Gastroenterologists, that was their new toy for a decade, which is, we have something to treat GERD, finally.
Right. But
and it's caused so much havoc.
It's not getting to the source of the problem, it's treating the symptom. And so that is probably the number one thing I can think of.
So Keith, I mean, some people listening have heard this, but a lot of people haven't. If people are having GERD or those kinds of issues, what is the non-intuitive solution to people that are dealing with gastric reflux that's causing damage to their esophagus and all of those issues? So what is the solution?
This is what is going to blow everybody's mind.
Yeah,
If you haven't heard this before.
It's so simple.
If you don't know
and
the
it is
answer
gonna blow
to
your
this,
mind.
if you don't know the answer to this, this is huge. So you got to listen, because this is the gospel truth what Keith is about to share.
And it will sound counterintuitive. I'm just telling you that now for the setup.
But
Go ahead, Keith.
this is okay.
Okay, so the most common cause of indigestion, reflux, belching, burping, issues, and even ulcers caused by H. pylori is actually not enough stomach acid.
Right.
Get that again. It is not enough stomach acid.
And that stomach acid actually, if it's there and you have enough of it, you digest your food, turns it into a liquid, it's emptied out within 2 hours, and there's no reflux.
Right.
And also that acid causes the valve at the top of the stomach to close.
To close up.
Right. But if you don't have enough stomach acid, it doesn't sense it and it doesn't close.
That's right.
Which causes that reflux to happen.
There's actually two things here: the top part of the stomach and the lower esophageal sphincter. There's two parts that are supposed to close if there's enough stomach acid.
Right.
If there's not enough acid, it's going to come up. So,
incredible.
Yeah. So therefore, the opposite option for that is actually to take betaine HCl capsules. Supplements,
which is more stomach
acid. Oh yes, HCl. I'm sorry, hydrochloric acid. So betaine is a kind of like a salt that they add to it, so that it exists in a powder form.
Right.
You take these capsules at the beginning of your meal, and matter of fact, if you can take 2, 3, or 4, or 5 capsules, and there's no discomfort with that, that means you're very low in stomach acid.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Keith, because I tell people who I know are not going to test for stomach acid,
Right.
I just say, look, when you start off, and I'm kind of the start slow and move up,
sure.
I just say, look, when you take more, the moment you experience any discomfort, you've probably hit on your optimum level that you can take with a given meal, right?
Drop down a capsule.
One level, yeah.
Like if you can take 5 capsules and you start, that kind of hurt below the ribs and the stomach, that's a sign that you've kind of hit that limit.
Yep.
Therefore, that means you need to be taking basically 4 capsules with your meals. But I've actually had people take up to 20 capsules at one time with a meal, and actually have the best day of their life.
You're kidding
Now,
me.
do
kidding
those individuals though eventually end up titrating down off those amounts?
Only because it's a hassle to take 20 capsules.
Wow.
On
So
a
they
regular basis.
really need that
So
much.
they really need that much. But most of them will end up backing down to like 5 or 6 with their meals, and actually can thrive. I mean, they do very well.
Yeah.
And
so it's night and day for those people.
Yes.
Well, and people think about this. You want the nutrients. You want the phytochemicals. You want the minerals. You want the macronutrients and the micronutrients in your food to actually get to the cells in your body and do what God intended to. Pretty simple fix there. Increase the betaine HCl, hydrochloric acid. It's a pretty inexpensive supplement. You can find it in any health food store. Play around with that, especially if you've got the gastroesophageal reflux disorder, GERD, right?
Exactly.
I have changed some people's life by actually telling them to take a tablespoon of Bragg's apple cider vinegar with the veil of the mother in it. You know, it's a very raw, organic form. And put that in 4 ounces. That's what they call it. Yeah, and they make a number of different brands do that. It's a fermenting process that actually.
I'm sorry. What is the veil of the mother?
It's a fermentation process that actually puts healthy bacteria into the vinegar. It's actually
bacteria that's in it that makes the vinegar.
Oh, that's the name of the bacteria.
So anyway, long story short, though, I've had people that had GERD for years. And I said, try this one thing. Take a tablespoon, put that in 4 ounces of water, and do that with your meal, and then see if you get it afterwards. And I've even had people use that to stop an attack.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well,
and obviously acetic acid, high acidic stuff in there, right?
I will. Now I have a tendency to have that problem. Okay. So I speak from experience, and if I do have reflux, I will literally go take 3 of those capsules, take 3 capsules with not 4 ounces, just a few ounces of water, and sit back and relax, and I can literally feel the food digesting and empty out.
Wow.
And the reflux is gone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's astonishing. Now, I don't want to get off this, but we are going to be moving on here. But are there any food additives? I'm a label reader, and usually all I just do is I turn it around, and if it's more than 3 ingredients, I'm just putting it back on the shelf. But, when you see an ingredient panel for one simple thing, should be simple, and it's got 50 unpronounceable things, you don't do it. But are there certain food additives that really could trigger anxiety, depression? I mean, we did talk about MSG earlier.
Right. MSG.
And not everybody's affected by MSG negatively, right?
Exactly.
It's just a certain subset of people.
And we don't know who that person's going to be. It's going to be experience with it. But any of those foods, I mean, like you mentioned, if there's more than 3 ingredients, that's too much.
Yeah.
Too many things. But MSG is definitely one of those. Some food dyes.
Okay, so different FD&C colors?
Exactly. Different colors are definitely some issues. Matter of fact, they're pulling more and more of those off the market as they're learning more about them. And then, let's see here. It's going to be the bad fats, the trans fats. And so that's another major thing. They'll add that into foods. But now the consumers have pushed back so far and limiting those, and now they kind of hide them.
They do.
And so we don't know for sure.
They hide MSG in a lot of things under other names. Natural flavors. Yeast.
Yeah.
That's what they'll call
all kinds of things. So really my rule is that, if it comes in a package or a box, you probably ought not be eating it. Okay, it's just too many things on that. So back on another prescription item,
and the research is out there that for every 10%, 10% of processed food you eat, it increases the risk of dementia significantly.
Yeah, exactly.
Just want to make a quick plea here. If you're viewing and you have suffered with depression, bipolar, manic depression, different disorders like that, really high anxiety, maybe you are taking something with a black box warning on it that may actually be causing suicidal ideations. Ooh. Please reach out to a loved one or a friend. Find someone you can trust that you can call. Suicide hotlines are also always available, but don't get isolated and be by yourself. Find yourself a buddy that you can talk to and call when those moments hit. We're going to move into talking about sleep in our next segment. This is Ultra Life Today. You've got Adam Payne, Keith Bishop. I'm Josh Bellew. We'll be right back. Hey, do you like what we're doing? Like, subscribe, share.